I'm really glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. Let's take just 2 or 3 minutes, as usual, seated silently, just gathering ourselves and arriving for practice while we allow for a little breathing room for everybody to get on tonight. And as we sit for these first few minutes, just arriving and grounding, turn your mind away from thought and toward the connection of your seat on the cushion or your back in the chair, however you're situated. What part of your body is touching the chair, the ground, the cushion? And let that connection be your anchor. It's this idea of really dropping down away from overthinking, incessant thinking, and really down into the body, down into a more grounded state, a more physical, present state. We'll take just one more minute here as we are. So now please receive just a few slightly fuller breaths. Perhaps exhaling out the mouth, letting go of small pieces of your day, letting go of big moments that may have happened today that are still kind of hanging around your psyche and your body. And if you haven't yet, I invite you to open your eyes. So officially, welcome to Mindful Monday. I'm so glad you're here, whether you're watching with me now or you're watching later. Last week, we talked about feeling tones. So pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. And if you watched last week, you may have even done the homework of noticing moments in daily life where you could pause and label something you're feeling as pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And the idea is that if you can pause and label what's kind of bubbling up for you with one of those words, sometimes it doesn't turn into a full-blown emotion. We talked about how there's a list of 500 emotions. We live emotional lives, don't we? And emotions aren't bad, but as we know, they can quickly spiral and snowball completely out of control. And so with our mindfulness practice, we're learning how to come into new relationship with those emotions. We are not trying to make them go away. They're part of the fabric of what makes this life so incredible. And we're just learning how to work with them a little bit differently, how to get some perspective on them. So I want to open with a quote by Pema Chodron. She says, it's very helpful to realize that the emotions we have, the negativity and the positivity, are exactly what we need to be fully human, fully awake, and fully alive. And so we use emotion as the portal to awaken. Tonight, I want to talk about something called the 5 hindrances. And these 5 hindrances are nothing new. I offer you that to really normalize that if you are a human being living and breathing with a human brain, you will experience these 5 hindrances in meditation practice. They are totally universal. And while what we're doing here on Monday nights is not yoga, it's a completely different style of meditation than yoga. Those of you that do practice yoga will notice these hindrances also come up in your yoga practice. The hindrances are something to be aware of. They're not something to do something about. There's nothing for you to do with these hindrances except notice when they're there and notice when you've been caught in one. Say, oh, there's that. There's that. And it's that pause, that moment of mindfulness, that beat and that breath that allows you to recognize when a hindrance is present. And when that recognition happens, it's like there's a little bit of light shining on that thing and it kind of loses power over us. We see it as completely a normal part of human existence. Humans who meditate will say. So the first one is desire. The first hindrance is desire. Desire is, I want this, I want that. I want to experience that state in meditation that I experienced 2 years ago that was so incredible, and I haven't found it since. I want that. I know some of you are really familiar with that one. Desire is also, oh, when I'm done with meditation, this is what I'm going to have to eat. I hope this happens tonight. I want, right? Desire is like wanting the present moment to be something other than it is. Totally normal. We all do it. But it can be a hindrance to meditation, especially in the example I gave of, I want my practice to be like it was that one time, or I want my practice to be like how that person's practice seems to be, right? We don't really know, but we have this perception and this image. So it's really wanting anything other than what our current experience is. That's desire. All right. The second one is resistance. So resistance is like, I don't like this. I don't like meditation. I don't like sitting here. I'm afraid of this. It actually kind of makes me annoyed because it's so hard. It kind of pisses me off, right? It's really frustrating. It's also an experience of, I want it to be different than it is right now. Because what it is right now, I'm really, really resisting. In resistance, there's some reactivity. There's some judgment, there's some fear. Resistance could be so big that it keeps you from even sitting down for your practice. I think that's a really common one of really having the first hindrance, the desire to meditate, right? The desire to have something happen in our mind, and then the resistance of actually going through the process. Totally normal. Everything I'm sharing with you, I experience all the time, just so you know. So these hindrances are things that prevent us from seeing clearly. The path of yoga, ultimately, the very last instruction in one of the ancient texts is, in the end, we see clearly. This path of mindfulness is seeing clearly what's happening in the moment. There's a theme here, a pattern, even though they're completely different. So the third hindrance is restlessness. For me, restlessness happens a lot. And here's when I feel it, is I have this really cool, I'll show you next week, bamboo meditation timer. It's a pyramid. It's not electronic. It's just a battery. So there's no phone that is giving me notifications that I'm timing my meditation on, right? I really like it because of that. And I get restless in my meditation, and my little bamboo timer is sitting there, and I want to pick it up and look at how much longer meditation is that day. I sit for like 20 minutes a day. And what's funny, you guys, I'm really working with it. What's funny is when I do pick it up, I don't pick it up every time. I pick it up at exactly the same minute every time. So there's obviously something happening in my process. It's when I have 7 minutes left. So I've been sitting for 13 minutes. Something happens where I'm really restless and I'm ready to be done, ready to go, ready to be somewhere else, desiring something else, resisting what I'm doing, getting restless. And so when I feel that sense of restlessness, of just wanting to pop up and do things, the question I ask myself is, what's wrong with this moment? It's rhetorical, of course, because nothing is wrong with this moment. What's wrong with this moment? And then I really open up out of that contracted, restless state, and I remind myself, nothing's wrong with this moment. This is all we have, is this moment. So that's restlessness. And then the fourth one is sleepiness. So common. I can't tell you guys how many emails I get about people falling asleep in meditation, right? Sometimes it's that we're just really tired. We need to be nourished and napped, and we need restorative yoga and nidra and healthy food. And, we have chronic exhaustion in this country. Sometimes we're just tired. Human beings get tired for no reason, right? Sometimes there's no reason. That's okay. And then sometimes with sleepiness, it's boredom, And boredom and resistance, they're all kind of the same bucket, I guess. But I find that when I'm bored, I get sleepy in my meditation practice. I'm kind of numbing out, right? So is your sleepiness boredom? And can you get a little more interested? What's wrong with this moment? Nothing. It's a beautiful moment to be in, right? So sleepiness, very common. And then the last one, the fifth one, is doubt. And oh my gosh, you guys, I wonder, I do think for me this gets better as I get older, but do we ever stop doubting ourselves? I don't know. Doubt is, I can't do this. It's too hard. It's the wrong day to meditate. I'm too tired. It's the wrong practice. I'm not worthy enough to awaken. Who am I to call myself a meditator? Doubting yourself in all kinds of ways, even doubting your teachers, doubting me. What is she talking about? What are her credentials? Does she have enough training to be teaching this? Totally normal. Totally normal. Doubt. And so during our practice, when we notice desire, resistance, restlessness, sleepiness, doubt, they will arise. They will arise. And so you can have this knowledge so that when those things arise, you can say, oh, there's my doubt again, right? There's my resistance again. And the reason I think these evening classes are so important is because left to our own devices, if we don't know about the 5 hindrances and we're experiencing all that stuff, we automatically are going to think we're not cut out for meditation, and we won't continue. We will quit. And so this little short education piece, you guys, it was for me the way to really commit to this long-term for life and really enjoy the benefits, having a little education around it. Okay, so let's get to our practice tonight. And you can sit in a chair if you need to move positions. Just take a minute here to settle and make any adjustments that you need. And as you sit, I heard something so sweet. It's an old meditation cue to not let yourself sit like a wilted flower. And I thought that was just so telling, right? So sit like a flower who's reaching for the sun and just being nourished, open, soft, steady. And take a few slightly fuller cleansing breaths. And then let your breath settle into its natural rhythm. Now notice if there is any obvious tension in the body that you can release easily. For a lot of us, it's softening across the tops of the shoulders, down the sides of the neck, perhaps between the eyes, around the mouth. Really just going for low-hanging fruit as we release any unconscious holding, any tightening. Let the belly be soft. We use that word undefended when we talk about softening the front. And as the belly remains soft, make sure the spine stays strong, alert, dignified, yet relaxed. And let the heart be soft as well, signifying receptivity to whatever arises tonight in your practice, with kindness, with compassion, with care. And with this embodied presence, bring a kind and gentle awareness to the breath. And there's many ways to notice the breath. Perhaps it's as a coolness in the nostrils. You may feel it in the throat. Or perhaps for you, it's the rise and fall of the chest or the belly. And as you feel each breath, invite in a sense of calm, a sense of ease, and if you can, allow that sense of calm and ease to grow, to expand. Now, momentarily check in to see if one of those 5 hindrances is present for you. Wanting something to be different, resistance, sleepiness, restlessness, doubt. And if so, silently in your mind, just name it. The word you use could be different than the ones I shared. If there's a more specific description for what you're experiencing. And you could name the thing several times. And remembering that the hindrances cloud our clarity, and there's actually nothing to be done about them other than recognition. And naming it somehow diffuses it so that we can pause, notice when we've been caught in that trance, and just turn back toward where breath is felt in body, anchoring our attention back to the body. And checking back in, noticing if one of the 5 hindrances is present again. And if you can recognize one this time, notice how it feels physically. So moving far below thought pattern or analysis. And just noticing how one of those hindrances might show up somatically in the body. And if that feels safe for you to explore, please continue with that. And if it's overwhelming and it doesn't feel safe, I'd like you to turn your attention to sound. And if you are turning your attention to sound, perhaps you pendulate back and forth and spend like one breath feeling the hindrance in the body and then opening up to sound. Like just touching in a little bit. I'll close tonight with a poem called Allow by Donna Faulds. There's no controlling life. Try corralling a lightning bolt containing a tornado. Dam a stream and it will create a new channel. Resist and the tide will sweep you off your feet. Allow and grace will carry you to higher ground. The only safety lies in letting it all in, the wild and the weak, fear, fantasies, failures, and success. When loss rips off the doors of the heart or sadness veils your vision, practice becomes simply bearing the truth and the choice to let go of your known way of being. The whole world is revealed to your new eyes. Take a few slightly deeper breaths, and as you open your eyes, just look around the room. If there's a window, can you gaze out the window just for a second? I thank you so much for attending class and for practicing with me, and I encourage you to maybe watch this one again and get to know the 5 hindrances in a way that they are automatic recalls when you're in that experience. It will serve you well, I promise. Thank you so much. I will see you next week. Take care.